Hey there, Mrs. Ehlke here. Today I wanted to do a fish drawing tutorial, and we actually live in like one of the most popular places in Wisconsin to catch sunfish, or bluegill is what they're called. So I thought I would try a drawing tutorial on how to draw a bluegill fish. So here is my picture. They are just such fun little fish. I've actually caught quite a few in the past when I've gone fishing in Wisconsin, and we live right by the Mississippi River, and there are fishermen out all the time, all times of year, going looking for these guys. So please feel free to try this out, and I can't wait to see how your drawing looks. All right, the bluegill or sunfish, feel free to add some color as well. Thank you so much for watching. To begin my fish, I'm going to start with a pretty wide body because they have pretty round bodies, and then smaller tails. So I want to make sure that probably the top of my fish goes up to about here, and then the bottom of my fish goes down to about here, so that they're nice and wide. The front of my fish is going to come to the front part of my paper, and then it's going to go way up to the top line like that. And then I'm going to have the mouth just slightly open like that, and then I'm going to curve it down like so and around to the bottom line that I have here. So I want it to be a pretty wide center of the fish, and then it's going to come down like this towards the tail because it gets quite a bit more narrow. So I'm going to curve it up like this when I get to the tail, and then I'm going to fan out a little bit like this for the back part of the fish. I'm going to curve in the tail right here and then back out like that. And now I'm going to add some details. So I'm going to start with the bluegill's eye. That's kind of right around this area. So I'm going to make a circle and then another circle inside of it that I'll fill in with black. I like to leave maybe a little highlight on the top like that. And then it has a couple marks that kind of go around the eye like that. So I'll add those in there. And then there's a section that I'm going to draw that goes like that. It's kind of just like a little bump, and then it curves all the way around under the head like that. So it's kind of the head area of the fish. Next, I'm going to make a side fin, and it's going to be kind of a diagonal line that goes up like that, and then a smaller one that goes out like that, and then I'm going to kind of connect the two like so. And if you want to, you can go ahead and make little lines like this to show where the fin is. And then I'm going to add a fin on the bottom of the fish that goes in a diagonal line down like that. I'm going to make another one that's a little bit longer, and then one that's a little bit shorter like that. So it kind of has this hook like this, and then goes straight up back to the body. I'll add some lines that go in between there for the bottom fin. And we've got another one on top, another one on bottom, and of course the tail until we add the rest of the fins. So the top fin starts off with some real little spikes that kind of go diagonal towards the back part of the fish. So I'm going to start with a pretty small diagonal mark. The next one's a little bit bigger. And I'm going to just go ahead and make some lines that are parallel to each other, that are diagonal. When you get towards this back hump, the lines actually get a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and make them a little bit longer. They kind of follow the curve of that hump. And then they get a little bit shorter again towards the bottom. Now to connect these, I'm going to go ahead and make lines that kind of hook down like little U's in between each of the diagonal lines for the fish. And then these lines don't quite do that as much, so I'm just going to kind of make a wavy line to connect those. For the tail, I'm going to start a little bit out here, and I'm going to go ahead and make lines that kind of follow the back part of the tail and fill those in. And then I've got one more fin that kind of is towards the back of the fish here, and it's going to go with some diagonal lines that aren't super long, and they almost become horizontal at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and start back here and kind of make it so that they connect to each other. You can kind of do these as a wavy line too. They're not as defined as like those are up there. So there's the basic fish. Now I want to give it a little bit more detail with some of the scales. So I'm going to start off by this little mark here. I'm going to add a little line that kind of connects it to the back of the fish. And then I'm going to go ahead and make some, they have like these stripes, so I'm going to kind of indicate those starting really close right behind the eye. And I'm just going to make these little marks that come down right into this area behind where the eye is. This is actually kind of dark, so I'm going to fill this in. And you guys, I do not know my fish terminology, so besides fins, body, head, I don't know what all the different parts are, but you know, I'm just looking at it from an observational standpoint, not a scientific standpoint. My family's actually packing up to get ready to go on a fishing trip, so I definitely have fish on the mind. We have been practicing our casting in the backyard to try to make sure we know how to cast the fishing poles, and so that when we're actually by a lake, we will be able to do a good job and hopefully catch some fish. Now you can see I'm just using some curved lines as I am going down to make these stripes, and I'm just kind of starting off a little bit wider on the top, and then they're getting a little bit more narrow and a little bit lighter towards the bottom. So I'm going to just go ahead and do this all the way back to the tail on this fish, like so, and then maybe even add a couple lines back in here to darken this section of the tail. All right, I could probably stop there, but I just want to indicate that there's other scales on this fish too, so I'm just going to kind of put little scale marks like this, spread out a little bit more so you can still see where the stripes are. So you can kind of get an idea about what the rest of the little fish looks like. Just filling those in with the marker. And then, I mean, there's other things kind of around the head of the fish. I could kind of extend this line up here. I could kind of add another line closer by the mouth. But I mean, really, this is all just kind of piddly stuff. So I don't know. I'm thinking he's looking pretty good. I'd catch him. I think that would be pretty sweet if we actually caught this guy. So there you go, a sunfish or bluegill, and hopefully we will be successful in catching these on our upcoming fishing trip. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple bubbles to the front of my picture. And there you have it. Thanks so much for watching. If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to my channel down below.